Hello, everybody. I'm going to wait a couple of minutes just to get folks situated, let people log in, get all your prep work done, and I will get started in a minute or so. Okay, it looks like we have quite a bit of people in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. My name is Manny. I'm with LifeLab. I am the Communications and Impact Specialist. I want to first and foremost thank everyone here for being a part of this. We really appreciate you all, and I love all the great comments as you were all pulling in and picking up the kits. So thank you so much. I also want to thank PVUSD for helping us facilitate this. Without them, this would not happen. So thank you so much for everyone at the district office. Especially the food and nutrition services. You all have been really, really amazing in this, so I thank you so much. And thank you, Sage Garden Project, for helping us co-fund this event. So I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank everybody that made it possible for us to have the food today, everyone that harvested the food, processed the food. Without you, this would not be possible as well. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you all. I also got really great news earlier today. I'm super, super happy to announce that PVUSD last night at the school board meeting approved our next collaboration. We will be helping with the Migrant Ed program for the first half of the summer. And in the second half of the summer, LifeLab will be facilitating a summer school in our seven schools. So thank you so much, PVUSD, again for that amazing work. And we're so happy to be a part of that, so thank you. And next, I just want to introduce Sierra. Sierra has been an amazing educator with us here at the Food Nutrition Services, and I just want to go ahead and congratulate her for being accepted at New York University, where she will be studying food policy. I will be here. I'm just going to go ahead and turn my camera off, but please, if you all have any questions or any comments, concerns, please go ahead and chat them. I know last time there was some sort of tech issue. So if anybody knows of any tech issues going on, please go ahead and put that in the chat. And with that, I am going to leave you and introduce Sierra.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and show you my screen. All right. So I'm Sierra. I'm a garden educator and nutrition services coordinator with LifeLab. And if you were unable to attend our last cooking demonstration webinar where we made stir-fried noodles, then welcome if this is your first time. And if this is your second time, then welcome back. I also want to give a special warm welcome to any PVUSD students that are joining us this evening. I think that this is a great opportunity to make a fun recipe together with your family, so I hope that you all enjoy. And before we begin, I want to echo Manny's gratitude to our PVUSD Food Nutrition Services Department for making tonight possible, as well as LifeLab for supporting our purchases of our ingredients for our kits that we were able to distribute today. And then lastly, I also want to acknowledge that I am currently occupying the unceded territory of the Amamoots tribal band who have stewarded this land for thousands of years. So I want to extend my gratitude to them as well. And with all that being said, today we're going to be making spring rolls, which require minimal prep work. They're super easy and healthy and fun to make. So they're also super easy to customize. And yeah, they're a fun way to eat vegetables without just having a salad. And this is one of the recipes from our Kids Cook curriculum, which is a program that we run at LifeLab with our partner schools, where during a normal non-COVID year, we would get to make this recipe in person with our students. So that's just one more thing to look forward to as schools continue to reopen. So I'm going to do a quick ingredient overview here so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page with what we have in front of us. So for me, I have my cabbage here. I have like half of a cabbage because mine was pretty large, but if you had a small cabbage, you can use the whole thing. Green, purple, whatever you want to use, anything is fine. And then I have any color bell pepper, I have my lettuce here, and then I had 2 carrots. This one I already cut up, and then I have one that we will cut up together. And then for the herbs of our spring roll, I have some mint leaves here. You can also feel free to add in any other herbs if you're choosing. Basil and cilantro go really well in spring roll, so you can totally add those in if you choose. And then for the sun butter dipping sauce that we're going to be making, which we are using sunflower seed butter instead of peanut butter because we want this to be allergen friendly and nut free. So we have limes. You can use 1 or 2 limes depending on how much sauce you want to make. If you want to make like a double batch of the sauce, then you can use 2 limes or just 1 is fine. And then I have 2 cloves of garlic. This is also optional. You can add as much or as little as you want. And then of course the sun butter, our soy sauce, and then I'm also adding a sweetener. So for me, I'm going to be using maple syrup, but you can also use honey or agave nectar or anything of that sort. You can even use sugar if you'd like to. And then of course we have our rice papers. So this is what mine look like. Yours might look a little bit different because we had a few different varieties go out in the meal distribution kits today. So we have these, another brand, and then we also have some bigger rice papers. And if you're working with the larger ones, don't worry, we'll make it work. You'll probably just have to fill them with some extra vegetables so that they roll easier. And then you can cut them in half, cut them into thirds, or just have a bunch of like really big spring rolls, which could be fun. And then of course you can add anything else that you want in your spring rolls. If you are a student making this with your family, feel free to pitch in any of your favorite vegetables to these spring rolls. You can do cucumber, avocado. I highly recommend adding a protein of your choice if you want these to be more filling. So if you're having these for dinner, then you can add something like tofu or shrimp or chicken. I'm going to be adding tempeh in mine, which is another soy product kind of similar to tofu, but you can totally add anything that you think would taste good. So this will probably be a pretty quick webinar, honestly, because spring rolls are so fast to make. All you have to do is just prep the vegetables and then roll the spring rolls and make the sauce, and then we will be done. So the only other remaining thing to go over is just to have a bowl of hot water with you for the rice papers. It doesn't need to be boiling hot or anything, but you don't want it to be cold either. So mine is like pretty warm, not too hot that you can't touch it, but just warm enough that it'll help to soften our rice papers. So I'm going to get started cutting up my cabbage, and I'm going to take a quarter of it, and I'm using my safe knife skills. So you want to keep your fingers tucked underneath so that your nails are kind of digging into the vegetable. So if you are a student or if you're a parent, you're having your kids help you with this, be sure to make sure that you're using safe knife skills. So my knife is pointed away from me and down towards the cutting board, and my fingers are tucked in. And you can also use safety knives or butter knives if you want to be extra safe, just to prevent any accidents, because sometimes bigger, sharper knives can be a little bit more difficult to handle if you're not used to cutting things up. So I'm just going to start slicing my cabbage pretty thinly. The thinner you slice your vegetables, the better, because you will be able to fill more spring rolls if you have more pieces of your vegetables. And by the way, all my produce is already washed. You want to make sure that you wash all of your vegetables before you start. That's a great thing to do if you want your kids to help you out. Totally feel free to help the adults in your home by helping to wash the vegetables. Saves time. Okay, so that's half of my cabbage. I'm going to move it over to this side. And then I'm going to take the other quarter of my cabbage. So again, this is a half of the cabbage total, but I had a pretty big one, so you can use as much as you want. All right, so the cabbage is done. And then I'm going to move on to my bell pepper. So I have one whole bell pepper here. You could also use two if you want. This all totally depends on how many spring rolls you're planning on making. I'm probably going to make around 10 because I'm just feeding myself and one other person today. But you can use two bell peppers, you can use one, you can use more than that, depending on how many people you're planning on feeding. And then same thing with my bell pepper, I'm cutting it into pretty thin slices, just because I want to be able to kind of spread them out over 10 spring rolls. And then I'm going to cut my bell pepper off the pit, and I'm going to save the pit for my home compost. All right. And then for my carrots, I chose to peel my carrots. You don't have to. I just like to have my carrots peeled when I'm eating them raw. And then the way I like to cut them is to cut it in half like that, and then cut it in half again so that you can have a flat side to cut on. Because it's hard to cut something that's round, because then it can kind of roll around and you don't want to have any accidents. So then I'm taking my carrots and cutting them into really thin strips. All right, carrots are all done. Our vegetables are pretty much done. My lettuce is already washed and I have it in a bowl here, but I'm just going to leave it the way it is and not cut it because I'm going to kind of tear it with my hands. And that's how I usually prefer to do lettuce with spring rolls. It's just easier for me to just tear with my hands. But I am going to cut up the mint a little bit. You don't have to, you can just put whole mint leaves in your spring rolls if you want to, but I'm going to kind of stack my leaves on top of each other and then cut them lengthwise down the long side of the leaf into strips so that they're just kind of easier to distribute in the spring rolls. So I'm just going to cut them like this. Just pretty roughly. And that is all we have to do for our filling. Again, you can totally just use whatever is in the ingredient kit for your spring rolls, but if you'd like to add more optional ingredients, totally feel free to do so. You can add as many or as few things to your spring rolls as you want to. So for the rice papers, rolling them can be kind of tricky the first time, but just be patient and give it a few tries. And this is a fun thing to do with kids again. So I'm going to take my rice paper, and you'll probably have like a smooth side and a textured side. It doesn't matter which side you choose to roll on. And I'm going to dip it into my bowl of water and rotate it around so that the whole rice paper is wetted, and then I'm going to take it out of the water. I'm not going to let it sit in there. And then I'm going to put it on my cutting board and then just give it a minute or two, because you'll notice as it's sitting here, it's going to kind of start to bubble up and look like it's softening. So you don't really have to leave it sitting in the water. Otherwise, it'll start to get too wet, and then that's when it will start to kind of fall apart. So mine's kind of starting to like bubble up, it looks like, and then that's when you can start to add your fillings. So I'm going to start with a piece of lettuce, and for my lettuce, I'm going to take the stem out because it just makes it easier to put in the spring roll and roll it up so there's nothing too hard or crunchy in there. And I'm going to save my lettuce stem for my compost again, or you can just throw it in a salad afterwards. You can also leave the stem in. I just like to take it out because it makes it a little bit easier to roll. And I'm going to put my lettuce at the bottom third of my spring roll. And then I'm going to add some cabbage and a couple of slices of bell pepper. And then I'm also going to add some carrots. And then lastly, a bit of our mint. And then you can add anything else you want to, but I'd say the more ingredients you're adding, the less of each ingredient you'll want to put in so that you don't overfill them. So then I'm going to kind of squeeze everything with my hands together like this. And with my other hand, I'm going to grab the rice paper from the back and fold it over. And then roll it over one time. And then fold in the sides like you would with a burrito. And then finish rolling it. And then you will have a spring roll that looks something like this. And then you can put it on your plate. And we will do the next one. And I'll probably roll like 5 or so, unless anyone's struggling, and then I can kind of show like a little bit closer how to do it. So again, I'm just wetting my rice paper on all sides, taking it out, letting it sit on my cutting board for a second or two. And then while it's kind of waiting, I will take the stem out of my lettuce and get that ready. So I'm just kind of tearing it up like this into strips. And I'll add a little bit more. And then my rice paper is starting to bubble up again, so that's when you can tell that it's ready. And I'll put my lettuce down, put my cabbage down, a couple of strips of bell pepper again. You can also change it up. You can do like more carrots, more bell pepper, less cabbage. You can do different herbs instead of mint. You can add rice noodles in your spring rolls. Rice noodles are fun because then you get like more of a meal out of it. And then again, I'm going to squeeze everything together, roll it over once, and then take the sides, fold those in, and then roll it over again to seal it. And then you will have your spring roll. And then put it on the plate. And then we'll do another one. And then this one, I'll probably add some of my tempeh, which is the protein that I'm going to be using for mine. Take my rice paper out and then get my lettuce ready. About this much. And then I'm going to take some cabbage, some carrots, and then instead of bell pepper, I'm going to do 2 pieces of the tempeh that I made. So I marinated and stir-fried some tempeh, and I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to use a couple pieces of mint, and then bunch everything together with my hands. Fold it over, do one roll, and then fold the sides, and then seal it. And again, if you have like the bigger rice papers, you'll probably need to fill yours more than what I'm doing, just because these are smaller rice papers and We'll definitely need more of each ingredient to fill those big ones. And if you have extra rice papers when you're done with this, you can just save them in your pantry and make more spring rolls another time. And if you have extra vegetables or extra fillings, then you can make a salad out of it or stir fry the rest. You can make more sauce. You can use peanut butter if you want to make more sauce and you don't have any more sunflower seed butter at home. And I'm adding some of my tempeh, some mint, and do some bell pepper on this one. And bunching everything together with my hands. With the other hand, I'm going to pull the rice paper around, roll it over once, fold in the sides, and then roll it around. And then another one. And then I will do one more, and then we can make our sauce together. And then we'll let that kind of sit there and wait for it to saturate. Spring rolls are fun to make, not just because like the rolling part is fun, but also it's just such a good way to eat vegetables that isn't just like throwing everything in a bowl and having a salad. It's just a fun way to eat a salad basically, but that's why it's so good for kids, because you can dip it in a sauce, you can roll them together. It's a little bit more interesting. Right. One this last one. Hopefully, if you were struggling at the beginning, you have it down by now. And if not, just keep practicing. And we have another one. Okay, and then I'm going to move on to making the sunflower seed butter sauce. So I have a bowl here, and I have my sunflower seed butter. And I'm going to take 2 pretty large tablespoons of this. If you're making a lot more spring rolls, then you'll probably want to make more sauce. The sauce is also really good, so it tends to go pretty quickly. So I'm going to take 2 big tablespoons of that and put it into my bowl. And then I'm going to cut open one of my limes. And I'm going to squeeze a whole lime into my sauce. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a little bit less than the amount of what we did for the sunflower seed butter because you don't want it to be too salty. And I'm using tamari, which is gluten-free. So I have about 2 tablespoons of that, maybe a little bit less. You can also taste it as you go. And then the sweetener I'm using is maple syrup, but again, you can use honey if you'd like to. You can use agave nectar, or you can just do like a pinch of sugar. Whatever you have in your home is fine. And I'm going to do about a teaspoon of that. I don't want too much, but it helps to balance the flavor. And then I'm going to start mixing this a little bit, and then we will chop up our garlic. That is also going to go in here. And it looks pretty liquidy right now, but you'll probably want to add a little bit of hot water to this as well to help it just be a little bit smoother, and it'll mix better because once the soy sauce and the sunflower seed butter combine, it'll be a lot thicker than it looks right now. And this is probably enough sauce for like 2 people. So if you aren't allergic to peanuts and you have peanut butter in your home, and you can totally just do the same steps with peanut butter to make extra sauce. Okay, so mine is looking combined, but it's pretty thick. So this is when you want to add a little bit of hot water. So I'm going to go grab some of mine. And I'm going to start with about a teaspoon because a little bit goes a long way. And once you add the water, it really helps it to all mix together so that it doesn't have like a weird texture. And the texture is looking really good. I'm still going to add just a little bit more so that it's just a little bit more of a sauce. And that should be plenty. And you can also taste it after you add water just to make sure that you didn't lose like too much of the soy sauce. So if it's tasting like a little bit bland after you add water, or if you add too much, you can always add more of the other ingredients to either add more flavor or thicken it up. So this is what mine looks like right now. It has this kind of texture, which is pretty good for dipping. So I'm going to keep it like that. And then I'm going to add my garlic. So I have 2 garlic cloves, and I'm going to crush them with my knife. You can also crush them with like the bottom of a bottle or a bowl, which is a little bit safer than using a knife if you are having kids help you. And I'm just going to peel the skin off. Same thing for the other one. And you can use more or less than 2 cloves depending on how much you like garlic. And then I'm just going to chop it up. And then I'm going to chop it again pretty finely because we're having it raw in the sauce. So whenever I'm eating raw garlic, I just like to have it like in smaller pieces that it's not so strong. Okay, and then I'll add that to my sauce. And then we will mix that all together. And then we have our sauce. And so I'm going to roll like 2 more spring rolls, and then I will cut them up and show you how you can serve them. But I mean, you can serve spring rolls however you want. They're pretty easy to figure out. So I have my rice paper here. I'm going to destem my lettuce one more time. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask because this recipe is so quick. So that would be a great time just because I can't see the chat. So let me know if there's anything that anyone needs help with. Okay, and then one more time, I'm gonna hold everything with my hand, pull the rice paper from the back, roll it over once, fold in the sides, and then finish my spring roll. And then there we have it. And what you can do is you can cut them in half, you can cut them on a diagonal like this, that you can see everything inside. And then you can dip them in your sauce. You can also pour the sauce over the spring rolls. But this is what we have so far. So here are our spring rolls. Here is our delicious sun butter dipping sauce. And that is pretty much it for the webinar. It's so quick and easy, super customizable. You can add whatever you want to these, and they take pretty much no time once you get the hang of the rolling. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. If anyone has any questions, let me know. Other than that, it's such a quick and easy recipe, and that is pretty much it. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say thank you so much, Sierra, for making it look so easy. I tried it a few times and they never come out that nice. So don't feel bad, anyone, if the first couple of them come out kind of funky, or if all of them come out funky. I'm sure they'll all be delicious.
Very true.
And feel free to please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all the major social medias. We would love to see all the amazing food that you all created today. Take a picture, tag us, let us know how it went.
Yeah, thank you all so much for coming.
I do see a question here from Yesenia Rodriguez. What type of rice noodle do you use for the Thai recipe from last time?
Yeah, last time I just used standard rice noodles. You can find them at most grocery stores or Asian markets. You can also use brown rice noodles. Any kind of rice noodle is totally fine. And you can use the same rice noodles in these spring rolls too. I love to put rice noodles in my spring rolls. For the brand, I usually buy, I think the brand is Annie Chun. That's a common one that I see in a lot of grocery stores. So I buy that one a lot.
All right, wait another minute or so in case anyone has any other questions. What is your Instagram name? That's a very good question. Follow us on Life Lab Garden at all major social media. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I think we even have a Pinterest. So check us out, or go to our website, lifelab.org. Feel free to subscribe to any of our newsletters. We have some really awesome things in the works we would like to share with y'all. There's any other questions or anything else you want to plug? Don't see any more questions coming up. So feel free again to message us on any of the social medias. I'll go ahead and reply there. Or if you have any direct questions for me, my email is manny@lifelab.org. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. So again, thank you so much for being a part of this. I really, really appreciate y'all. And with that, we're going to say goodnight and hope you enjoy your evening and the delicious rolls.
Thank you all so much. Thank you, Manny.